All right, this is Reality Supreme Being, May 10th, 2011, doing part 2 of what I started out. Government conspiracies, lies, deception, secret abuse that goes on in people's lives. So let's talk about, a while back in one of my other videos, I mentioned that there's that Deepak Chopra mentioned that we can only, even though we've mapped the DNA, we only know what maybe 1% of the DNA does. And the DNA is huge in the human being and in many animals. It's huge. So what makes human beings so different that they can't stop being addicted to war? They're still violent like other animals, only animals kill just to eat. Anyway, whereas we, on the other hand, kill just for sport, I guess, which just becomes the end thing to know, to have these wars. Anyway, in the process of natural selection, I have a background, many very varied backgrounds, and one of my backgrounds, expertise, is biology. And in one of those expertise, I got to tell you, the DNA is vast. It's huge. It's like a universe in itself. That's just one DNA, just one. All right, and you've got 100 trillion cells that make up the human body. 100 trillion cells means 100 trillion DNA nucleuses. And if you were to unravel all the nucleuses in the human body and glue them end to end, you can figure out the math. The DNA strand on a microscopic level is about 3 meters long. So you glue them end to end, you'll go out. Your DNA will stretch outside the solar system. Okay? Millions and millions and millions of miles long. No joke. As a matter of fact, my arithmetic says that it takes about 75. Is it 75? Somewhere between 75 to 100 human beings to complete a light year or longer. A light year is this distance that light travels in 1 year, which is about 6 trillion miles. Yet we have 100 trillion cells. Anyway, so let me pose something to you. From the beginning of time, we have not had that many inventions. There was just a handful that were important inventions. But there was a real spike in the invention process from the 1700s to now, which is about 300 years. An interesting and a comparative note, we've only experienced, like some of my other videos have said, about less than 300 years, 290 something years worth of peace worldwide in bits and pieces. The rest of our 10,000 year history has been nothing but wars, death, and destruction. So what is it that we're doing? The bottom line here is that it's kind of noisy here, so you're gonna have to just turn up the volume if you can to hear me, because this place where I do the taping has a lot of people in it tonight, and there's a lot of kids, so sorry about that. Can't do anything about it. Anyway, to get back to the DNA, if we've only been here, like I said, out of the 10,000 year history, we only can account for about 300 years worth of peace. And it's interesting to note, the same 300 years represents the number of inventions that have exploded in the human race. All the way to sending Voyager, which is outside our solar system now. Now, if you read a book called William Cooper called Behold a Pale Horse, he claims he doesn't claim, he was in secret Navy organizations at the time when he was in the Navy. He's dead now. And he tells you in Behold, he mentions Trilateral Commission on the back of his book and mentions Bilderberg Group. But he also talks about the fact that there might be aliens here and so on and so forth, and you can read his book to get your own idea. But one thing that is definitely proven is the comparative example of 10,000 year history, which compared to the dinosaurs, we've only been here 10 minutes. Dinosaurs have been here millions and millions and millions of years. I mean, it was 65 million years ago that comet or meteor hit the Yucatan Peninsula and destroyed all the dinosaurs. And that meteor was probably 6 miles wide when it hit and covered the most of the United States in water. In all of that, okay, and that's 65 million years. Dinosaurs have been here 3-digit figures, more than 300, 600 million years, with taking into consideration mutations and evolving. But all that into consideration, when you start to really focus on it, you end up with one definite, credible evidence. This is a verifiable evidence. It's not circumstantial evidence. Is that it isn't that we progress so fast and that there have been so much inventions, but it's that the DNA is credited with all of that. So where did the thou shalt not kill come from? Well, that came from the fact that if our ancestors are definitely advanced alien beings that may have, I stress the word may have, under some books that I have read, like The 12th Planet, which was written in the 1970s. If they did, in fact, experiment with the human, with the ape creatures at the time, the bipeds, Lucy was one of them. If they did experiment with humans and they spliced their DNA in, that would explain why there's such an explosion of inventions. And if we're hybrids already, and if we're being watched, then the only conclusion you could come up with is that the thou shalt not kill came from the fact that the aliens, our ancestors, supposedly quote-unquote advanced, realized that we were displaying traits that they had in inventing and copying things. And so thou shalt not kill probably came from the fact that every human being that's born, especially if they're born under controlled conditions, meaning when you want to have kids, you decide to have kids because you want them, not because they're accidents. Okay? Which is birth control. But when they decided to do that, then it becomes quite clear that thou shalt not kill didn't come from moral implications. It came from the fact that you show more creativity and more capability to discover new inventions, new things, more progress, more mutation towards an advanced civilization. And you can't do that if you're killing off every possible chance of those new discoveries. Those new discoveries come from the person almost not being led there, but kind of being called there. You know how the salmon swim back upstream to go to their place of birth? Well, maybe that's what we're doing. We're swimming back upstream to find our original advanced nature of what, so we can experience what our advanced ancestors, alleged, quote unquote, alleged advanced ancestors may have been enjoying. But we can't do that if you're going around killing each other. You don't know which person it could be. Could be a black person, could be a Jew, could be a Muslim. I mean, it was an Arab that came up with the checking industry and a lot of the different mathematics that are involved in all of that. I mean, these people who came up, where do they come up with the idea? You think they just think it out of thin air? It doesn't come out of thin air. It comes from the library in your DNA. And if you don't believe me, stick your nose in a biology book. You're going to see that everything I'm saying is pretty much the truth. And then I'm a guy who really knows what he's talking about. If I wasn't, doctors would not have been sending their patients to me for advice on how to cure their arthritis, how to take care of their memory problems that they were having, how to... I pretty much told them the same thing, a lot of the same things that Dr. Perricone talks about. The only difference is Dr. Perricone has a doctorate and I do not. But I do have a background in biology, and doctors were not afraid to send their patients to me for advice. I can't prescribe anything to them, but I can give them advice. And the advice was the sequential order that you need to take, not vitamins, that's the last thing you look at. The sequential order that you need to take amino acids, enzymes, mineral compounds in order to get your body back online. Because as you get older, the telomeres on the tail end of your DNA get cut off every 7 years when new cells replace the old cells. And so when this keeps going on every 7 years, you're losing a humongous, remember I said how long the DNA is? You're losing, those tiny telomeres being cut off is a lot of information. And that's part of what ages us. Now they do say there are books that are written that say that our advanced alien ancestors who made us had a bit of more immortality spliced into their DNA than we do. And that we were manufactured to die early because they didn't want us to live as long as they lived. But regardless of what the truth is, I mean, don't take everything I'm saying as any truth. Investigate it. I'm not asking you, I'm not trying to force you to believe anything. If anybody's forcing you, by paying taxes, are forcing other countries to believe in democracy. That's not the strict definition of what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, if they were interpreted by the right person, which they're not being interpreted by the right person, because if they were, you wouldn't have so many complaints and arguments. But interpretation is very important. So when you're killing off DNA by the ton loads, or killing off people, then you're killing possibly, there could be a person in Africa that's going to discover all the cures for cancer, or most of them. But since you're killing people right and left, there could be an Arab that's going to discover a new way of flying a car, or a new way of traveling. I mean, it could be anybody. Because the DNA, how could I put it? Remember Jurassic Park? Jeff Goldblum was questioning one of the guys who said, oh, all the animals in Jurassic Park are female. We deny them that extra hormone that allows them to evolve, to make the decision to change into a male or a female. You're all born female. We're all born female, even men. But that extra chromosome is what you need in order to make the final factor in whether you're going to stay female or change it to a male. But he said, you're suggesting, he told Jeff Goldblum, you're suggesting, he says, listen, life breaks free. It finds a way somehow. And that's what Jeff Goldblum says, because he's playing the part of a chaotic scientist, a scientist that believes in chaos theory. And he says in chaos theory, life finds a way. Even if all the animals are female, life finds a way to recreate itself. And this is what they call mutation in DNA. So the guy turns around, the scientist says, you're suggesting that, and quote, his lines are, you're suggesting that a group of animals, all female, can turn male. Huh? Oh, you're close, okay. So it can turn male. And he said, no, he just says life finds a way. So anyway, that's the final determining factor. And if you kill off people, how can you find out what the next invention is? That one chromosome, born in exactly that way, may not be born again for another 500 years or another 1,000 years. So the human race is generally screwing themselves every time you kill somebody. Because there could be a criminal that's in jail right now who could come up with some fantastic new invention, and we'll never see it. Because we've got the poor guy or woman incarcerated because for some reason they did something wrong. Maybe they were mistreated as a child. But the best qualities that they might be attracted to are being drowned, smothered by the fact that you people just don't get it. And that's why I'm so pissed. I'm the guy with all the answers and you people just don't want to care. Somebody send me a few $1 million so I can leave the United States and go conduct my research someplace else, because it isn't going to happen here. I'm just going to die here. It's just a matter of time before my teeth give me an infection and I die. Anyway, it's 14 minutes and 15 seconds. We got to cut this off now, and we'll talk again some other day. Bye.